She hadn't touched the coffee.
Not because she'd forgotten it. But because something inside her had already stopped counting tomorrow.
Then a stranger noticed her. Instead of looking away from the path you have chosen, you must find the strength to keep moving forward.
He sat down. He sat down.
She should have said no. Instead, she changed both their lives with 2 words. They were both completely wrong.
8 months before the restaurant, Nadia James had a sister. Bria called every Sunday morning at 9 without fail. Not 9:05, not 9:15. 9 exactly, because Bria did everything with the specific enthusiasm of someone who had decided that being on time was a form of love. She called and talked for 45 minutes about everything. Her week, Nadia's week, something she had read, something she had eaten, a conversation she had overheard on the train that had made her laugh so hard she had to sit down. 45 minutes. Every Sunday. For 6 years without missing once. Then a Tuesday afternoon in October. A car that ran a red light on Michigan Avenue. A phone call that came to Nadia's number at 4:17 in the afternoon from a number she didn't recognize. After that, no more Sunday calls. Nadia did not fall apart immediately. That was the thing nobody understood they expected falling apart, and she gave them functioning instead. She went back to work in 11 days. She answered emails. She delivered projects on time. She ate enough to keep going and slept enough to work and did everything that functioning required. But she stopped making plans, stopped decorating her apartment, stopped buying things that lasted longer than a week. She was still alive, but she had stopped investing in her own future the way you stop watering a plant you have already decided is not going to survive. 3 months after the funeral, her mother, Carol, called. "I need you to come over," Carol said. "I need to talk to you in person." Carol's kitchen. Too strong tea with too much sugar. Carol's hands around her own cup, not drinking it the same way Nadia would hold a cup in a restaurant 8 months later without drinking it, though she did not know that yet. Carol said the blood panel results had come back. The ones Nadia had done last month at Carol's insistence. Carol said Dr. Sung had reviewed everything. Carol said the markers were that the prognosis was 3 months, possibly less. Nadia looked at her mother's hands around the cup. She felt not what you would expect, not the floor falling away, not panic, something almost like recognition, like a person who has been waiting in a dark hallway for the next door to open and has just heard the handle turn. "Okay," she said. "Baby." "Okay, Mama." She looked up. "I heard you." She drove home. She sat outside her building for 37 minutes. Then she went upstairs, and she took the calendar off the wall, the one with dates marked for things that would now not happen, and she put it in a drawer, and she stood in the middle of her apartment, and she made a decision. She was going to use the time she had left. Not dramatically. Nadia James was not a dramatic person. But she was going to say yes to things she had always found reasons to decline. She was going to eat at restaurants alone, take midnight walks, spend money on things that felt good right now. She was going to stop managing her life from a distance and actually live inside it. She had 5 weeks of doing exactly that before a stranger sat down at her table on a Tuesday evening. If this story already has you, if you felt Bria in those Sunday morning calls, subscribe to Afro Korean Folktales right now. Because the man who just sat down at Nadia's table is hiding something that is going to change everything. And we are not telling you what it is. Not yet. Subscribe, keep watching. His name was Kwon Seo-jun. He told her that at the table before his family arrived, and not much else. His parents were warm, his mother especially. A woman who looked at Nadia with the specific warmth of someone who has been waiting for this person without knowing what they looked like. His father was quieter, observant, the kind of man who expressed approval through sustained attention rather than words. And then there was Taeyong. Seo-jun's older brother sat across the table and looked at Nadia with the eyes of a man running a calculation. Not hostile, precise. The specific attention of someone who has spent 36 years being the responsible one and has developed, as a result, an almost clinical ability to notice when something does not add up. He asked her 3 questions over the course of the dinner. They were good questions, the kind that sounded like small talk and weren't. How long had she and Seo-jun been seeing each other? Where had they met? What did she think of Seoul after 14 months? She answered all 3 without hesitation because she was a graphic designer and she understood how to construct an image, and she built this one with the clean efficiency of someone who had decided 5 weeks ago that she had nothing left to lose. Seo-jun watched her answer his brother's questions, and something moved in his face that he did not appear to be entirely in control of. After the family left, after the warm goodbyes and the promises that felt genuine, in a way Nadia had not expected, Seo-jun sat across from her at the table that had become theirs, and he looked at her with the expression of a man who has just watched someone do something he cannot fully account for. "You were extraordinary," he said. "I told you," she said. "Nothing to lose." He looked at her. "What does that mean exactly?" She smiled. A real one. She noticed it herself, the specific surprise of a feeling arriving without being invited. "It means I said yes to sitting at a stranger's table, and it turned out to be the most alive I've felt in months." He was quiet for a moment. Then, "Can I have your number?" She should have said no. She gave it to him. What Nadia did not know, what she had no reason to know, no way to know, no frame of reference that would have led her there, was that Kwon Seo-jun was the CEO of Hana Creative Group, the company she had worked for since arriving in Seoul 14 months ago. She had never seen him in person, had no reason to connect the quiet man across the table with the name on the company's letterhead, the name in the footer of the all-staff email she barely read, the name that appeared in the Korean business press occasionally in context that had nothing to do with her daily work. He had been hiding it for 8 months, since a woman he had loved had revealed, through a series of small moments that accumulated into an undeniable pattern, that she had chosen him for what he represented rather than who he was. Since a friend had used his name and his network for a business arrangement that Seo-jun had not agreed to and could not cleanly undo, since the exhausting, clarifying realization that power attracted the wrong kind of attention, and that removing it temporarily, carefully, completely, was the only way to find out if anything real was possible. He had told his team he was conducting an internal culture research initiative. He had given himself a cover identity within his own company, mid-level project manager, no direct reports, unremarkable on paper. He had been living inside that identity for 8 months and had found, to his genuine surprise, that he liked who he was without the title, that conversations felt different, that he laughed more easily. He called Nadia 2 days after the restaurant. He suggested coffee at a place near Insadong that he liked because it was small and not the kind of place anyone he knew professionally would go. She said yes because she was saying yes to things now. Coffee became a walk. The walk became dinner at a cart near the river because neither of them wanted to stop talking. Dinner became the specific realization, sometime around 10:30 at night, standing on a bridge with the Han River below them and the city lit up in every direction, that they had been together for 4 hours and it had felt like 40 minutes. "Tell me about your sister," he said. She looked at him. She had not mentioned Bria. She had not planned to mention Bria. "How do you know about my sister?" she said. "You mentioned her at dinner," he said. "At the restaurant. You said something about Sunday mornings and then you stopped. Like you caught yourself." She had not realized she had done that. She looked at the river. "Bria," she said. Her name was Bria. She told him about the Sunday calls. Not the accident, not yet, just the calls. The 9 o'clock exactness of them. The 45 minutes. The thing Bria had read or eaten or overheard that week. The laugh that was the loudest sound in any room it entered. He listened without interrupting, without reaching for the thing to say that would make it better. He simply listened, and when she finished, he said, "She sounds like someone worth every Sunday." Nadia looked at the river. "She was worth every day," she said. He did not say Bria would have wanted her to be happy. He did not say anything. He just stood beside her on the bridge and let the silence be what it was. And that specific choice to stay without fixing was the thing that nobody else had done since October. She did not tell him about the diagnosis that night. Every time the conversation moved toward the future, toward plans, toward what comes next, toward anything that existed past the present moment, she redirected. She was practiced at this. The redirection happened so naturally that she did not think he noticed. He noticed. He simply did not know what it meant. He redirected too. Every time she mentioned her company, every time the conversation came within reach of Hana Creative, her department, the name of the CEO she had never met, he found another direction. He was practiced at this for the same reason she was. Two people redirecting simultaneously looked, from the outside, like two people taking their time, like two careful people building something slowly, like trust. It was trust. It was also two people building something on ground they had not told each other was unstable. Taeyang noticed something was wrong at the second family dinner. He could not have said what specifically. Nothing Nadia did was wrong. She was warm and present and entirely convincing, and she remembered details from the first dinner that impressed even Seojun's mother. But Taeyang had a gift for the thing underneath the performance. He had been reading rooms since he was 8 years old, and the room told him something he could not yet name. After dinner, in the kitchen, he found Seojun alone. "She's hiding something," Taeyang said. Seojun looked at him. "Everyone hides something. Not like this," Taeyang said. "Whatever she's hiding, it's big. It's the kind of thing that changes everything when it comes out." Seojun was quiet. "Are you hiding something from her?" Taeyang said. The pause was 1 second too long. "We're fine," Seojun said. Taeyang looked at his brother for a long moment. Then he nodded once and left the kitchen and said nothing more that evening. But he did not stop watching. "You felt that, didn't you?" Taeyang already knows something is wrong. Drop a comment right now and tell us, do you think Seojun should tell her the truth first or wait for her to tell hers? We read every single comment. And if you are not yet subscribed to Afro-Korean Folktales, hit that button right now because what happens in the next 5 minutes of this story will break you open. Subscribe. Keep watching. 3 weeks after the bridge, Nadia almost told him. They were in a small gallery in Hongdae, her idea, because she had stopped filtering her ideas through the question of whether they were reasonable. She had been standing in front of a large canvas, something abstract and warm in reds and oranges, and Seojun had come to stand beside her and said, "What do you see in it?" And she had said without thinking, "Someone who knew they were running out of time and decided to use every color they had left." The silence after that was different from their usual silences. He turned to look at her. Really look at her. The specific look of a man who has just heard something that was not about a painting. "Nadia," he said. "It's a beautiful canvas," she said. She moved to the next piece. He let her go. But something had shifted between them. The specific shift that happens when the truth almost surfaces and both people feel it and neither one can pretend they didn't. She went home that night and sat on her bedroom floor with her phone in her hand and her father's photograph on the dresser across the room. Her parents, young, at a barbecue she had not been born yet to attend, and she thought about what it would cost to tell him. He would try to fix it. That was what people did when you told them you were dying. They tried to fix it, or they pulled away from the unfixable thing, and she could not decide which one would be worse. She did not want to spend her last weeks watching someone she was starting to love try to manage the unmanageable. She put her phone down. She did not call him. She called her mother instead. Carol picked up on the second ring. Nadia could hear something in her voice immediately. A brightness that was doing too much work. The specific overwarmth of a woman who is managing guilt by performing love at a higher volume than usual. "How are you feeling?" Carol said. "You sound tired. Are you sleeping? Are you eating enough?" "I'm fine, Mama," Nadia said. "I just wanted to hear your voice." They talked for 20 minutes. Normal things, Chicago weather, Carol's neighbor's new dog, a show Carol was watching that she thought Nadia would like. Nadia hung up and lay on her bedroom floor staring at the ceiling and thought about the word fine and what it meant and how she had been saying it for 8 months without it being true once. The following Saturday, she went to her mother's house. Carol was not expecting her. Nadia had a key from before she moved to Seoul. She had kept it because keeping it felt like keeping a piece of home, and she had needed pieces of home badly in the first months of a new city. She let herself in. Called out. No answer from the main rooms. She could hear her mother's voice from the back bedroom. A phone call. The door was partially open. She stopped in the hallway. She was not trying to listen. She was going to knock, to announce herself, to do the normal thing. But the words coming through the partially open door stopped her feet before her brain caught up with stopping them. Carol's voice. Low, urgent. The voice of a woman saying something she has been needing to say for a long time and has finally found the moment and the person to say it to. I know what I did, Carol said. I know. But you have to understand what she was like before. She wasn't living. She wasn't eating. She wasn't leaving that apartment. She lost Bria and she was disappearing right in front of me, and I didn't know how to reach her. A pause. The other person speaking. Nadia could not hear the other voice. I paid Dr. Sung, Carol said. I know that. I know what that makes me. But I thought if she believed she was dying, she would start living. That she would stop. That she would wake up. Her voice broke. I just needed her to wake up. Nadia stood in the hallway. The walls did not move. The floor did not tilt. The world remained exactly where it had been 30 seconds ago, with every object in its correct position. But everything inside Nadia's body rearranged itself completely and permanently in the space of those 3 sentences. I paid Dr. Sung. The diagnosis. The blood panel results. The 3 months. The terminal markers that Dr. Sung had delivered in a white office in the careful voice of a man who had delivered terrible news many times before. Carol had paid for it. All of it. Every word of it. Fabricated, purchased, built from her mother's desperation and a doctor's willingness to be paid for whatever a desperate mother needed him to say. Nadia had been living like a woman dying for 8 weeks. She had taken midnight walks and said yes to strangers, and stopped making plans and given her number to a man she would never have spoken to if she had believed she had a future to be careful with. She had sat on a bridge over the Han River and talked about Bria to someone who listened without fixing. All of it. Every single moment of the last 8 weeks. Built on a lie her mother had paid for. She turned and walked out of the house. She did not knock on the bedroom door. She did not announce herself. She walked out the front door with the key still in her hand, and she sat in her car and she breathed. In, out, in, out. She picked up her phone. She called a medical clinic she had used twice since arriving in Seoul. She made an appointment. For that afternoon. Emergency basis. She said it was urgent. They said they could see her at 3. She sat in the car until 2:15. Then she drove to the clinic. She did not call Seo-jun. She did not call anyone. She sat in a waiting room with her hands in her lap and she waited for a doctor who had never met her mother and had no reason to tell her anything except the truth. The results took 40 minutes. The doctor was a woman in her 50s with efficient hands and the specific directness of someone who understood that patients needed clarity more than they needed softening. Miss James, she said, your blood work is completely normal. There are no markers of concern, no indicators of any terminal or serious condition. She looked up from the file. Wherever this previous diagnosis came from, I cannot speak to the methodology or the findings. What I can tell you is that based on these results, you are a healthy 29-year-old woman. Nadia looked at the file in the doctor's hands. Healthy, she said. Completely, the doctor said. Nadia nodded. She thanked the doctor. She walked out of the clinic into the Seoul afternoon, the city moving around her at full speed, indifferent and alive. And she stood on the pavement, and she felt something she did not have a clean word for. Not relief, not anger, not grief. All 3 simultaneously, with something underneath them that was even harder to name, the specific disorientation of a person who has been living inside a story that just turned out to be fiction and does not yet know what story they are living in instead. She had 2 months she thought she didn't have. She had a man she had let herself fall for because she thought she had nothing to lose. She had a mother who had broken something that was going to take a very long time to repair, and she had absolutely no idea what to do with any of it. She called Seo-jun. I need to see you, she said. Tonight, can you come to me? I'm already on my way, he said. She had not told him where she was. He had not asked. He was already moving, and that specific thing, the already moving, was the thing that broke her open in the middle of a Seoul pavement at 4:30 in the afternoon. She pressed her hand flat against the nearest wall. She breathed. He arrived at her apartment at 5:45. She opened the door, and he looked at her face, and he did not ask what happened. He could see what had happened the way you can see weather, not the specific cause of it, but the full weight of it, everything it had moved through to arrive at this expression on this face. He came in. She made tea she did not drink. They sat across from each other at her small kitchen table, and the apartment was quiet in the way. Apartments are quiet when everything important is about to be said in them. "I need to tell you something," she said, "and I need you to let me finish before you say anything." "Okay," he said. She told him about Bria first. The full version this time, not the Sunday calls, not the laugh, but the Tuesday in October and the phone number she didn't recognize, and the 11 days she spent functioning before she stopped functioning, and the specific way grief had hollowed her out from the inside while her outside kept going, to work and delivering projects on time. He listened. He did not move. Then she told him about Carol, about the kitchen with the too strong tea, about what Dr. Sung had said, about 3 months, about the midnight walks and the saying yes, and the restaurant on a Tuesday evening, and the cold coffee she had not been drinking because she was a woman with nothing to lose sitting alone in a moving room. She told him about the hallway, her mother's voice through a partially open door. "I paid Dr. Sung." She told him about the clinic, the 40 minutes, the file in the doctor's efficient hands. Completely healthy. She stopped talking. He was very still across the table. "You thought you were dying," he said. "For 8 weeks. Yes. And you didn't tell me?" "I didn't tell anyone," she said. "I didn't want anyone trying to fix the unfixable." He looked at his hands on the table. Then he looked up at her. "I need to tell you something too," he said. "And I need you to hear it as what it is. Not as an excuse, not as a justification, just as the truth." "Okay," she said. "My name is Kwon Seo-jun," he said, "and I am the CEO of Hana Creative Group." The apartment was very quiet. Nadia looked at him. She looked at the man across her kitchen table, the man from the restaurant, from the bridge, from the gallery, from every evening that had accumulated into something she had let herself feel. And she did the specific arithmetic of someone putting two things next to each other that she had not previously placed side by side. Hana Creative Group, the name in the footer of every all-staff email, the name on the company letterhead, the name that appeared in the Korean business press in context that had nothing to do with her daily work because her daily work was mid-level design in the Seoul branch, and his daily existence was the top floor of the building she went to every morning. "I work for you," she said. "You work for my company," he said. "I didn't know that when you sat at my table. I found out the third time we met, and I should have told you then, and I didn't. Because by then it was already," he stopped. "I was afraid." "Of what?" "That you would see me differently," he said. "That it would become about what I represented instead of who I was. That I would lose the first real thing I had found in 8 months. He looked at her. "I have been hiding who I am since before I met you. Not from you specifically, from everyone. Because the last time I let people know who I was, they used it, and I decided I needed to find out what was left when you took it away." "And what was left?" she said. "Someone who sits at strangers' tables," he said. "Someone who stands on bridges and listens. Someone who is not sure he deserves what he has found, but is certain he does not want to lose it." Nadia looked at him. Outside the apartment, Seoul was doing what Seoul always did, moving, loudly, at full speed, without pausing for anyone's reckoning. The city did not care what was being said at this table. The city did not care about 2 secrets or 1 hallway, or 40 minutes in a clinic, or the specific, devastating weight of a Sunday morning call that no longer came. "You should have told me," she said. "Yes," he said. "I should have." "I should have told you too," she said. "Yes," he said. "You should have." They sat with that. Both admissions on the table between them, not resolved, not forgiven, not finished, but present. Out of the hiding places they had each built, and into the room where things could actually be looked at. "What do you want to do?" he said. She looked at him. "I need to go see my mother first," she said. "I need to do that before anything else." He nodded. "I'll drive you." "You don't have to." "I know," he said. "I want to." She looked at him for a long moment. Then she stood up and got her coat. Carol opened the door and she knew. She knew from Nadia's face the way mothers know things immediately, completely, without requiring explanation. Her hand went to her mouth. Her eyes filled. "You heard me," Carol said. "I heard you," Nadia said. They stood in the doorway for a moment. The city behind Nadia, the house behind Carol, the 8 months between them. "I was losing you," Carol said. "After Bria, I was watching you disappear, and I didn't know how to reach you. And Her voice broke fully. I know what I did. I know. You made me live like I was dying, Nadia said. For 8 weeks, I stopped making plans. I stopped thinking about the future. I let myself. She stopped. She breathed. You had no right to do that. No, Carol said. I didn't. It's going to take a long time, Nadia said. What you broke, it's going to take a long time. I know, Carol said. I'm not asking for quick. I'm asking for the chance to try. Nadia looked at her mother, the woman who had sat across from her in a kitchen with 2 strong tea and delivered a lie with a breaking voice and had been living with it every day for 8 weeks. The woman who had lost one daughter and reached for the most extreme thing she could think of to keep from losing the other. Wrong. Completely wrong. The kind of wrong that does not have a simple resolution and should not pretend to. But her mother. Still her mother. Come outside, Nadia said. There's someone I want you to meet. 3 weeks later, Seo Jun took her back to the seafood restaurant. Same table. Or close enough, the one by the window that caught the evening light the same way. Same menu. She ordered the same thing she had been eating alone 8 weeks ago when a stranger sat down across from her uninvited. He did not make a speech. He was not a speech-making man, and she was not a speech-receiving woman, and they both understood this about each other by now. He put a small box on the table between them. She looked at it. She looked at him. I know it's fast, he said. I know we built this on unstable ground, and I know the ground is still settling, and I'm not asking you to answer tonight. I'm asking you to know that this is where I am, that I have been who I actually am with you, not the title, not the company, just the man who sat at your table, and that man wants to keep sitting at your table for as long as you'll let him. She looked at the box. Ask me something first, she said. Anything, he said. What do you actually want, she said. Not what you want, what you actually want. He looked at her without hesitation. This, he said, exactly this. She opened the box. That night, alone in her apartment after he had gone home, she sat on her bed with her phone in her hand. She went to her contacts. She scrolled to a name she had not deleted. She looked at it for a long time. Then she pressed call. It rang. Once. Twice. 3 times. Bria's voicemail. The recorded voice bright, specific, the laugh already audible in the way she said her own name. Hey, it's Bria. Leave me something good. Nadia closed her eyes. Hey, she said. It's me. I know you can't hear this, but I needed to tell you something, she breathed. I'm okay. I don't know how, I don't know what any of the next part looks like, but I'm okay. And I think you would like him. I think you would call me every Sunday morning at 9 exactly to tell me everything you thought about him. She laughed. A real one. The kind that comes from somewhere below the chest. I miss your calls. I'm going to miss them every Sunday for the rest of my life. She paused. But I'm going to be here for all of them. Okay, I'm going to be here. She ended the call. She set her phone on the nightstand. She lay back on her bed and she looked at the ceiling of her apartment. The apartment she had stopped decorating 8 months ago, and she thought about paint colors. She thought about the canvas in the gallery, the reds and the oranges. Someone who knew they were running out of time and decided to use every color they had left. She was not running out of time. She had all the colors. Tomorrow she was going to buy a plant. If this story did something to you tonight, if you felt Bria in that voicemail, if you felt Nadia on that pavement, if that moment at the kitchen table with the 2 strong tea hit you somewhere real, then Afro-Korean Folktales deserves everything you can give it right now. Like this video. Every single like pushes this story to someone who needs it. Subscribe to this channel because every week we make stories exactly like this one. Stories about the lies people tell out of love. Stories about the truth that builds something better than the lie ever could. Stories about women who thought they had nothing left and found out they had everything. Subscribe. Drop a comment right now. Tell us the moment that broke you open. Was it Tae Yang in the kitchen? The hallway? The clinic? The voicemail? Tell us. We read every comment, every single one. Share this with someone who needs to hear a story about starting over. We will see you in the next one.